Alright, good morning YouTube. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Alright. Okay, so let's take a look. We have the news up on the screen right now on Forex Factory. The big news of the day that is literally happening as we speak is the Canadian core retail and retail sales. Looks to be a bit mixed. Not sure what to make of it, heads or tails, but just a good thing to know for today in case you're getting into a Canadian position especially. And let's get into the charts. So lo and behold, first chart we're getting into is AUDCAD. Think on the lower time frame we're on right now, we're on the 5 minute. We were looking for an opportunity to get short at this level here, and I think it was possibly down here. Yeah. Anyways, we can see that he started to climb, so we've sort of invalidated this little lower time frame market structure. We're breaking out above this trend line, and honestly I could see it being a possibly a pretty good opportunity for a buy on a trend line breakout. What we need to see is maybe a nice break of this previous support would be nice. A little retest down. So let's mark up our levels of structure. So we have this previous support, possibly could be turned into resistance. What we need to see is price coming up, maybe breaking out, coming down, and then coming up again. And on the second break would be a good opportunity for a buy, but you know, that could happen today, it might not happen till tomorrow, but that's sort of what we're looking at today. On the longer time frame, we have this market structure down here, again this market structure up here, and this longer time frame trend line. Possibly looking for price to come back up here to get into a sell, but that sort of depends on what the price action looks like. Alright, moving right along. Do we want to go into the trade? Yeah, so we're currently in a trade. We're in USDJPY. This was a previous trade from last week that ended up hitting the 2-hour profit. This is a current trade we're in from yesterday's stream. The news hit on the US dollar, price jumped up. The stop was originally 138.7 with the stop with the take profit of 210 pips. And as price was coming up, I'm like, I'll give it a little bit more wiggle room. I'll increase the stop to 138. So the risk goes from 1R to 1.5R roughly. And it definitely came up. Like it's the high was, or at least on this, 138.747. So that would have definitely stopped out the previous trade, but we still keep the risk within a 2R trade. You know, even if it's 100 pip stop loss now, it was still a 210 pip take profit, so it's still slightly better than a 2-hour trade as opposed to being the 3-hour trade it was before. But that was sort of what we're looking at now. And then the other trade idea was EURAUD on the 1 hour. If he came up to here, he could be a good sell. Looks like he might come down to support first, so we're just gonna monitor. We'll keep this open just as a trade idea, this sort of this sell position, but honestly I wouldn't, if he drops down to support and then comes back up to resistance, I don't know how keen I would be to get into a sell at that point, but we'll see. Alright, let's take it from the top. We just finished AUDCAD, we're going into AUDCHF, sort of breaking out of this little wedge that we had drawn. Honestly, it was a bit of a not the best wedge, to be honest. Not a lot of price points. just kind of like what I thought was the best fit at the time. Price is starting to come up, but it's been going sideways since around 10 o'clock last night. This is all Pacific Standard Time. I'm talking if you're from a different time zone. Let's move right along. AUDJPY could be good for a sell here, actually. Right. So we did talk about this yesterday as well. We marked up this level of structure here. Notice this ascending top part of the time or trend line here, and thought maybe AUDJPY could be good for a sell. Couple things that I'm not super convinced on when taking this as a sell is this trend line is kind of, it's all over the map. I fitted it to one point, but it could fit here, it could fit here. You could take it back here and fit it up here. Like, really, this trend line is everywhere. And even this level of structure doesn't necessarily need to be down here, it could be up here. And then when you think about it, you know, the sell isn't here at 922, for example, it's up here, it's 93, and there's no way I'm going to put that kind of, I'm not going to enter into a sell and put a stop loss that high and try to hope for a 2-hour trade. So that's part of the reason why we aren't really looking to trade this guy right now. It's just because this level of market structure, there's not enough confluence, you know. Again, if this market structure down here, if all these sort of breakouts up here didn't happen and they were all rejections at this market level of structure, and yeah, even if this breakout didn't happen and it was a rejection a bit lower, I'd be a bit more keen to get into the trade. But if let's just stick with the highest level of everything, so the two tops for the trend line, all this level of structure up here as resistance, and we'll wait for price to come up there before we get into a sell, and we get into like a counter trend sell. Alright, so how about the 5 minute? Do we see anything on the lower time frames? We kind of do. This is some decent channel. Again, it's not the prettiest, you know, it doesn't touch all the points exactly. We are kind of making it fit price action, but it's not too bad. If price were to come down, could be a good opportunity for a buy, but then again, if price were to come down, that's a 45 pip move. That would be a pretty sharp move on the yen. That would probably be associated with all the yen pairs, not just the Australian yen. So we'll probably just leave this market structure up, but the likelihood of us trading the Australian yen today is not super high. AUDNZD. I almost like it on the 5 minute. Again, this trend line is just taking up the two recent points. There's really not enough touches for it to be a great trend line. Although he is breaking below this level, so there's a bounce off support in this zone, bounce off support in this zone, bounce off support in the zone. He's breaking below, but hasn't necessarily broken below these lows back in April. He could have broken below and is rejecting again at these levels, but not enough. I wouldn't say these supply zones are enough for me to get too excited to get into a sell position here. Now about going on to AUDUSD. Again, he's sort of broken out of this longer time frame trend line, has this trend line for support. I'm a little late to the party. A lot of this has happened during the London session. What I would have liked to do to get into this sort of trend line break is for price to come up, come back down, and then break out. And on the breakout here could have been a good opportunity for a buy, say like right here, with the stop below these lows and targeting to R. That's sort of the ideal trend line breakout. But a lot of this has already happened. The move's already been made. It wasn't even, I don't even know that I would have taken it the way it played out like this. But just a little bit for your information. All right, CADCHF on the hourly. Again, we have a bit of a break of this level of structure. Price broke out. It's coming down to retest and it's coming back up. He is in this bit of ascending channel. He typically has these at least 3 times in a row. He's had this huge breakout followed by a little bit of a sizzle down, followed by a huge breakout. Sizzle down, huge breakout, sizzle down. Are we on the verge of another breakout to the upside, or, you know, has he exhausted his momentum and is he going to go sideways for a while? I don't necessarily know that I'm keen to enter in a buy and figure out. I'd rather just monitor from the sidelines just because of the price action. It's not looking too pretty. It's looking good, but it's not looking the best. But we will continue to monitor. CADJPY. He's continuing to boost up. So he's broken out of this level of structure here. Had this nice double bottom bounce with continued upwards price action. I think right now he's doing well off of the news that just came out. On the lower time frames, could be a good opportunity for a buy. So if he continues up, just at least enough to break this high, comes back down, we could be looking for a buy down here. Again, it's sort of iffy. He would kind of have to dump 50 pips to come back down here, and that's not an insignificant amount. That's enough for it to be a trend reversal for him to, instead of bounce off that level, for him to come back down and go the opposite direction. But just based on these previous levels of support or resistance turned into support, I'd be willing to bet. Let's set up an alarm. So we're gonna set up alarm right about here. And then if CADJPY or the yen pairs in general start to break down, we'll be set to buy a pullback. Euro AUD, this is the one we reviewed earlier. The 5 minutes just kind of going sideways, not much happening. The hourly, again, we're looking at a potential sell if price were to come up here, but again, that's almost 200 pips away. The likelihood of that happening today, not high at all. maybe sometime next week, but at that point, price action will have broken beyond the trend line. If it were to come up, you know, it would happen sort of like, it would have to have broken out of the trend line. And if price were to go down, that's sort of my anticipation of what it might look like. Anyways, not much here for EURAUD, so let's go down to EURCAD. Nice continued dump on price action. Could be good for a sell here. Price would need to increase another 35 pips. But I think, yeah, I would get in this sell. We're gonna add an alert here. Where would we set up the stop? Maybe above this guy here. 250 and 500. $750? Sure. All right. All right, so we've got the alert set. We've got this little sell in place on TradingView at least. The likelihood of it reaching this level before the end of the day, can't say I'm super positive that's gonna happen purely because it is a Friday, so I can imagine price action is gonna start to meander at some point and just go sideways. But yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. We have this previous level of support, some levels of resistance here. We've got this descending trend line. It's kind of the cookie cutter way I trade. EURCHF, 5 minutes just going sideways. Hourly, we have a bit of a descending trend line, suggesting some bearish price action since start of April. Can't say I see a whole lot here to trade. Next up, EUROJPY. Prices on this upward trend on the lower time frame. We have these previous levels of resistance that have not shown any support yet, and then we have these levels of support down here. I can't say I'd be super keen. There we go, that's why. So lots of levels of resistance at this price point, 1492. Obviously price is broken well above it, and there is an opportunity for it to turn into some level of support or price to come down. Can't say I have a lot of faith in the trend line level. We do have somewhat close to 3 touches, 1, almost 2, and 3. Or price to come down on these levels here to have touched the trend line. I'd say the trend line would be a bit more valid. Right now it's there's like what you would consider trend line valid for a bounce and trend line valid for just showing trends. So hence the word trend line. If I'm drawing a diagonal trend line up, you know, we're obviously saying we're in a bit of a bullish move. If I'm drawing it down, we're in a bit of a bearish move. That's the basics of a trend line. And then the next level of the trend line is, can I connect points to the trend line? Is that a psychological level? Is that going to work as a point for contention? Is it going to cause the price to bounce when it comes back down to that level? The more points it touches, the maybe the higher likelihood it's gonna touch it and bounce again. But can't say I'm super keen. I mean, all the yen pairs are quite bullish today. I mean, the yen's pretty weak, so we will continue to monitor them all and see if there's an opportunity amongst them. But nothing right now. So we'll go to EUROJPY, GBP. Kind of sideways price action on the lower time frame. Maybe a bit of this sort of wedge here down. Could be a good opportunity for something like that. If it does show up, maybe we will keep our eyes peeled. Again, this won't happen until next week. So if it does happen this way, that would be sort of my ideal scenario for getting into the trade. That's it for your GBP, EURNZD. It's breaking out below this level of support here. It has continued on down. Not much. We've got this lower time frame trend line, but we don't have much levels of structure to go off of for good levels of support and resistance, so we're gonna kind of stay out of the trade for now and just monitor from afar. Maybe a good opportunity to get into a trade on the higher time frame, you know, if we were to continue a little bit lower, retest up here and continue a little lower. Like that. We'd get into a sell position up here. But again, that's when we're looking at the hourly, that could be next week. EUROU. I could almost see this guy being a good sell opportunity here. We've got this trend line level of support. We've rejection, rejection, rejection. So started up here. Price touch, price touch, price touch, price touch. This level of support right here. Well, I'd say this level of support here. It was just a bit of consolidation here. I don't know if I consider these little 5-minute bounces support as opposed to some sort of like accumulation or something. Yeah. At this level, I don't think I'd want to get into the sell. The level of support turned resistance that I'd look to get into would be more akin to something like this. You had these multiple levels down here, which is all just kind of one level, price respected, and then price came below, respected, came back above, sort of meandered at this zone and came down. So a good sell would have been right there. Of course, this is a little bit of hindsight bias, I do admit. But, you know, who knows, maybe maybe I'm gonna see tomorrow and price is just gonna have continued to dump from here, and I would have said, yeah, that would have been a perfect opportunity for a sell. Good old hindsight bias. In hindsight, we're all millionaire traders, aren't we? Moving along, GBPAUD, trendline breakouts on the hourly. Can't say I see a whole lot here. There is a bit of a trendline breakout, but the market structure on this breakout's not sort of ideal for my entry setup. I like price to be a bit more compact, so price to come out, up, down, with a bit of a inherent level of structure from the trend line or channel that would support that. By that I just mean, you know, price breaks out like it did here, comes back up, and let's just say this top part here was a very solid level of structure within the trend line. You know, there's multiple rejections, multiple levels of support, and then as price starts to come down, we sort of get in on the sell here with a stop there. But here we don't really have that. We've had this price just sort of shoot down here like this. You know, I wouldn't say there's a huge opportunity to get in here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to finish our tea, pour another cup, and then move along to the next pair, GBPCAD. If you're wondering how I organize my pairs, you're like, I feel like there's a pattern to it. It's because it's all alphabetical. Yes, I'm that silly. I order my pairs alphabetically. So the first pairs we went through are the Australian base pairs, and then Canadian base pairs, Euro base pairs, British pound base pairs, NZD base pairs, USD base pairs. A, C, E, G, N, U. And then after that we have US 30, US 100, US 500, and gold, which is again still alphabetical. Ironic. Okay. GBPCAD. Right, price was accumulating in this range, had dumped. We had this little bit of support forming on this lower trend line. Price had broken below and had rejected a couple times at this level. And now prices continued up. Can't say I'm seeing anything too pretty with any of this, at least not on the lower time frames. I can't imagine it's gonna look any better on the higher time frames, but let's take a look. We have a trend line break, but it's broken pretty far. 6.8 roughly down to 6.76, so like a 40 pip range here. I'm only saying this because if price bounces and goes up, it could be a good opportunity for a buy. Or not, just because we have this level of this structure, a level that could be resistance. So we are just going to ignore GBPCAD and let it play out. GBPCHF, again, just kind of going sideways on the hourly in that sort of upward channel. Market structure just going sideways. We have these couple tops, we have these few bottoms. We will mark it up, but we're not going to trade it. What were we thinking of trading again? Let's go back to our previous one, EURCAD. Right, price is reacting pretty hard there. AUDCAD. CADJPY. It's going up. Yeah, not much. GBPJPY. We have this decent ascending trend line with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of contact. we have this sort of level of resistance. Again, sort of level of support. I mean, all the yen pairs are pretty much looking pretty freaking correlated right now. This looks very similar to the other pairs, so I can't say there's anything special about this market structure that makes me want to take it a buy over any of the other ones. Like we look at CADJPY, I would say I like the structure of CADJPY a little bit better. EUROJPY, I like it a little less, and we're talking about for a buy here. Yeah, AUDJPY, again, not super keen on it. EURJPY, not keen. GJ, not keen. And then UJ, we obviously have the sell on UJ. Let's just move right along. GBPNZD. Prices come back down to this level of support. Maybe an opportunity. No, there's not much opportunity here. Maybe part of me wants to maybe sell a breakout down here. So as price comes down, get into a sell, put the stop above here, target 2 to 1. But where are we at? What is it? The entry is 78. That's about 30 pips away. Do I really think GBPNZD is going to drop 130 pips over the next little while? 130? Yeah, 130 pips. I wouldn't be super keen on that happening. So, get rid of that. GBPUSD. Again, looking pretty similar to EUROUSD. If we look at the two of them, we have this descending trend line, a nice spike up and rejection down. GBPUSD, this market structure is not well correlated to anything. Like, it's just kind of floating at these levels that make not a lot of sense. These levels down here make more sense. You know, we have this level of support here, resistance here, supportish here, but previous support here, previous resistance here. Level of structure here. This could be a good opportunity. How's the USD basket looking right now? So right now, all the USD pairs, USDCAD is down, USDCHF is down, USDJPY is down-ish, but it's kind of floating around even for the day. All the other Euro, GU, AUDU, NZDU are up. How's the Dixie looking? He could break out here, which would cause all these pairs to drop, or he could end up rejecting off this trend line and going down, which would cause something like this guy to break out. So I think we're just gonna leave him be for now. Yeah, we're just gonna let price action chill for a bit. NZDCAD, somewhat of a nice progressive move up. We look at the hourly, just a lot of sideways price action, a bit of maybe in a downward channel. No, that looks like a downward channel. Not a maybe, it looks like a downward channel. But the sort of market structure is all over the place. I'm not necessarily identifying any clear levels of support or resistance on here. At least none that really span the entire length of the channel that are significant. So we will just continue to monitor. NZDCHF. Looks like he might be breaking out of this trend line. Lower time frame. Nothing super keen here. Hourly might be breaking out. Could be maybe a good opportunity for a break and retest and trend line breakout here. So we're breaking out of the trend line, breaking out, retest down here, and continue up. Could be a good opportunity for a buy in that scenario. NZDJ is doing quite well. Lots of bullish momentum here. Is maybe reaching some previous level of resistance onto the left hand side of the chart, but does that mean I'm gonna sell? Hell no. Need a lot more confluence than just maybe there's some resistance on the left hand side. I say a lot more, literally just 1 or 2 pieces more is enough for me. But again, in terms of a pullback structure, I'd probably want to get in one of the other pairs like CADJPY for a buy as opposed to NZDJPY. I would say NZDJPY is the strongest yen pair right now, gaining the most percentage. Yeah, but we will see. We will see. Moving right along. Sorry, NZDUSD starting to come up. Not a whole lot here happening on the higher time frame. On the lower time frame, again, not much here, just we've got this little bit of a wedge. Some previous resistance could be turned into support, but it's a bit of a wishy-washy pattern. So we will leave it for today. Looks like we won't be having any trades today, which is fine. It's a Friday. It's not unheard of. Gives me an opportunity to just focus on journaling anyways. That's the USD trade. Had slowly come back down to break even, but he looks like he's bouncing off these levels and might continue up towards the stop loss. So sad days, but just be on to the next one. Let's take a look at US. Well, let's just analyze him. So we can get rid of this guy. So look here. So on the hourly, he's definitely broken above these levels. We have a retest here for a continuation upward. If price were to double top here at 75, we could be looking for a continuation downward, or maybe that's just me and my confirmation bias trying to hope that my sell turns out. In reality, we have this, in the reality of the situation, we have this ascending trend line support, we have this bounce off structure. Price looks like it's probably going to continue to go up. A buy would be a much better idea. A buy at like 1 or 2 this morning during London hours for a continuation of the trend. Looks way better, but we are still holding in there for that sell. We're just gonna monitor. All right, US 30 kind of sideways, US 100 nice bullish move in sideways. Well, market opens in 15 minutes, so we'll see what happens. US 5 similar across the board, and gold is very much the opposite. It has been dumping over the last few days. It's selling it shy. It's been dumping since the start of May. Okay, that's it for today. Quick recap. We are hoping to get into this Euro AUD sell on the longer time frame, this EURCAD sell on the shorter time frame, a bit more of a scalp, but looks like price is already rejecting at this level, so I'm not really expecting price to come up here. We are in a trade from USDJPY that is not going so well, and based on the market structure is more of a buy than an actual sell, so that's not doing the best, and could be looking at a potential buy on CADJPY where price to pull back down to this level. So yes, that would be a buy on CADJPY and a sell on USDJPY, which goes to show you that market analysis can be quite different between very correlated pairs. And AUDCAD, possibly an opportunity to get into the market here. He's got this nice ascending channel. Is kind of broken out of this trend line here. But yeah, maybe if he starts to come back up, he could be good for a buy. Anyways, that is it for today. Thank you for coming, and I will see you all next week. Peace. Have a good weekends.